Hi everyone, welcome back to the Jansen Art Studio. I'm Dave Jansen, and today we're going to paint the little Rofous hummingbird. I love hummingbirds. I don't paint them too often. I've only painted maybe 7 or 8 that I've done into books and a few DVDs. And so I thought it'd be fun to do another one, especially the Rofous one, which is really kind of pretty. We're going to do a little female, and she's got, it's not quite as colorful as the male, but we'll kind of doll her up a little bit. I'm going to put it here on 11 by 14 panel, wood panel. It's the same that I use a lot, and I give it a coat of light gray, which is just some white, a little bit of yellow, and a little bit of black, a little bit of yellow oxide, and a little bit of black. And you can actually start with any color because we're going to change this up quite a bit. And I've just lightly sketched this, sketched her on here with some, probably going to do like a little wild tree rose type of flower here for her, with her. She has a lot of greens and a lot of yellows, so I'll do some, maybe some reds and some yellows and stuff in into those roses, wild roses or something right along that line that will go with her. Okay, so we're going to paint this right along, and you can see the developmental process that I use in putting her together here. Now, for her on the board, I've taken her off center here slightly. She moves this way. The flowers will move this way. I'll put some in the back, gently soft ghost flowers going this way. So I'll have a little bit of sky right up into this area here. All right, for brushes and stuff, I'm going to use just some old Fusion brushes. One of my favorite bird painting brushes, the watercolor round number 4 here. We'll use that one. I might use the little quill that I have up here off to the side if I get into real details, but this one has such fine detail point on it that I'll probably use just that. For the colors, I have my normal palette out here that I paint a lot with. Is my 6 colors of the Paint It Simply going around here. My cool red violet, Naphthol Red Light, very warm. Hansa Yellow, Phthalo Blue, black and white. I also add out some of the pine green that I use in the Art of Painting series. So this is an Art of Painting DVD series for it. I also put out in the Art of Painting some of the colors that I put out, and I don't always use them. I have here a Diox Purple, a Yellow Oxide. Now I use Yellow Oxide instead of Hansa because Yellow Oxide, of course, is a toned natural earth color, and it is more opaque in a lot of paintings and stuff where I want some opacity to it. It's a little bit more opaque than Hansa Yellow. This is the Quinacridone Violet, which we might use into these roses. Might be a pretty color up against some of her green back. That might get a nice color. And then the nice toned burnt sienna that I use in conjunction with a lot of my pine greens and stuff. I love those colors. And we'll see which ones we use, but those are the Art of Painting colors that we use. And let's get going, okay? So I'm going to take some out here. We'll take some of our white out here, and let's just make ourselves a nice little blue. Since we're gonna, I don't want to use up too much of a blue-green, since we'll have a lot of green into this. Let's move this more towards a blue-violet by adding just a little bit of the violet color into this, and let's lighten that up, and let's add some extender to that, and we'll start up here, and we'll just push some of that right through. And we, you know, I generally give a nice light coat like this and just some nice movement to it. We can add more colors as we get to painting and stuff with it. Now, she is going this way, and so what I want to do is I want to take most of my strokes this way, so I get a contrast between her and the strokes that I use onto the background. Okay, so this is something that I like to do with birds and flowers and everything, and it's something that you should consider doing as well. So let's put just a little bit more blue into this, and we'll get that right down through here, right down through her. We'll let it go right to that light color back up there. Now you can wipe down just a bit, just touch down just a bit right like that, just so you can see her or your designs. And I know it's kind of hard to see the flowers and stuff there, but I can see them. The monitor may not pick it up, or your camera may not, because it's just barely showing up. So we'll put a little bit of that back through there so we get some of this nice variation of some of this color. Sometimes I will come back and I'll just toss a little white back up and through here like this, like maybe that's a little cloud or something, you know. I like to do that. It just breaks up some of the color through there, gives another little look, or just another little softer element through there. And I like to do that, so we'll pull that through there and see her there. Now let's go drop down to the other side here. Let's take a little bit of yellow oxide, a little pine green. Let's knock that down, just a little burnt sienna as well, right into some of our blues here. Get a nice mottled color. And it's just a soft movement green that will suggest some, some back areas, some other little branches and little leaves into the back, ghost little things going on that'll work right into our painting here. And then we'll make it darker and stuff into the center. But let's just put on some light color movement here to the back of this and throughout and do what we call the vignetted painting. Just give a nice, let some of that, a little bit of that gray, or if you don't like your background color, just take this right over it. Sometimes I'll let this blue and stuff come right on through here again and show up again back, like right back down here or so. And it just gives more open airiness to it. So let's take a little strike of that blue coming right back through here. And that just creates a little more open airiness to the design here. Pull some of that right through there, like that. Different way to look at your painting, and this is something that I started to do in the last couple of years that I really like when I'm painting like this. Now, before we go into her, let's just set some soft reds. And so let's take some Naphthol Red Light, some Red Violet, maybe a little bit of our Quinacridone. We'll use all of those out here. Make some soft reds, and let's just come in here. And flowers are going to be big for her because they're just a little tiny thing. As a matter of fact, I have her, she's a little bit bigger than life size, and which I wanted to do just because you get too small of a painting, and it's difficult to put a value on it or anything, so it's kind of like, okay, I need to bring her up. I don't want to get her too far off of life size because I like painting things life size, painting birds and stuff like that life size, but having her just a little bit bigger is a nice call, I think. Just so she'll show up more, have more power, and I can still make a nice floral. Let's take just a bit of this, a little bit transparent, and move some of this back out through here. Maybe there's some back little ideas of flowers and stuff coming right back up through there like that. So she's just kind of nestled down here into some of these flowers and some of this movement down into there. Let's create some contrasting green movement down there as well. Take some pine green and some burnt sienna here, and let's contrast her right down into this area with those little flowers we'll do there. Let's get a little more pine green into that, and we'll just set some contrast. I like that bit of blue coming through there too here. So we'll set some contrast and and I'm just using the corners of my brush and just kind of whispering and moving this out and keeping everything kind of light and airy right now. Even though I'm getting the contrast of the color, I'm keeping my brush movements very light and airy here. Here and down. Here. A little bit here and there. And you can just use your finger to soften some of that. There like that. And that works. Here, let's soften this out. Let's add a little bit of blue to that so this gets a little softer. Not quite as much to it. And let's just add a bit of it back up through here so it'll sit just as a mottled little color. There's some other stuff back behind her. Maybe a little stroke of it a little heavier in a few places here. Here we go, right through there like that. Now I want to come back and restate that that blue. Let's take a little bit of that violet, push that in there, a little bit of white, and let's just restate that blue right in here again, because I did like that coming through the light, coming through the painting here. I like that coming through here. Here we go. So we'll just, boom, pop some of that in there. Let's pop a little bit of that right in there around her. That'll create a lovely contrast against her and the flowers that I'll paint there. And just boom, boom. Excuse me. And we just move that into some of these greens and stuff. Just let them just model together here. That's where you get this beautiful movement there. And just let that happen. Let's go just a bit more white. And we'll set just a bit more of the light up here. The light with a little bit of that blue there. Let's reset some of those pinks right into, you know, and that pink heading right into that, those reds and stuff heading right into that blue is good as well here. So that flower will come right in there. We'll have another one there. Another flower here. And let's get a little bit more color. So our reds, red, violet, and I model those together so that's why I use the three. I model them together. I don't mix them. I model so they come off in different amounts here. And you can see it's building contrast right around through this area where I want the viewer to come in here. And then we'll just soften that as they go out here into some soft areas. Okay, now question is, can we paint her in there and make her pop out? We might have to soften some of this out, and I might just do that right now. Just take your brush and just pull through a couple of times to get some of this movement here and there, and that will just, it's not blending, it's what I call blurring it. I just blur it out here a bit, so that takes away a little, when you blur it like that, it takes away a little bit of its contrast. It doesn't blend it, it blurs it. It makes a beautiful set of just blur. And I don't like to use a big mop brush because that blends it too fast. So I just lightly go over it with my little fusion brush like that, and that just blurs that in there and makes it look like you know what you're doing. Okay, alrighty. So now what we'll do is we'll go work on her now, since she's going to be the center of interest, and we'll come in a little bit closer. I'm going to push some of this up out of the way here so we have all that lovely. That just makes beautiful grays and stuff here too later on. See all those colors together? Look at that beautiful gray you get from all those reds and greens because they're complements, and that's just beautiful grays when you're going to put some white flowers in. You know, let's say you have white roses and stuff. Always remember that red violet, that quinacridone, that green, that pine green together, even with a little bit of that burnt sienna in there, that just makes beautiful grays. So if you're going to paint, you know, like a white and red rose with some green leaves and stuff, those are beautiful tones to use inside of there. Okay, let's back out just a bit of this, and that'll make her color stick a little bit better. So we'll just take our towel here and just back out a little bit. Don't want to take it all out because I want some of that color to go inside her there and give you some harmony to that. Now let's go grab like a little number 4 here that we can paint her and assign some nice values here. She'll have a kind of a burnt sienna, reddish orange kind of color. So let's take our Naphthol Red Light and some Hansa Yellow here, which makes a real orange. We'll drop into some of this burnt sienna here, tone that down, and that makes this kind of the Rofous has this kind of orangey color here, depending on the time of year and stuff, and whether they're male or female. They have this kind of orangey color there that I want to capture right away, right up underneath here. So just some strokes of that in there, and you might want to put a little bit of that up here by her neck feathers and stuff. And then we'll go into some whites and grays. And let's just go use some of this gray. It's a beautiful gray. And that'll cause her to go with these roses and stuff even more because it's gray. And let's add just a touch of green to that. because she's going to be on a lot on the greenish side. So let's just green that up just a bit more here. And let's just push some of that grayer tone right up underneath here. This will be for her breast area and down through her neck here. Let's just drop some of those tones right in there, right together. We're going to paint this several times, bringing these together, these tones together like this. Right up around her eye, we'll put some of this. So this is kind of like an undertone of the painting here. Let's gray this out. Let's grab any kind of black burnt sienna here. Don't use black all by itself. Add a little burnt sienna, maybe a little. I like the green and burnt sienna, the browns that come from that. And I'm going to use just a chisel of this number 4 like this for right now. And I'm just going to set that in. Now that got away from me. I pressed down just a little bit there, too much. So I'm going to take put a little bit of our blue, kind of bluish color in here, and just take some of that out there, like that, and thin that out. And that's a much better way to do it. And you know, when you get these softer edges like that, sometimes, you know, we paint the edges too harsh. And you know, I'm a painter of edges now. I'm always watching my edges, and sometimes we paint them too harsh, too perfect, and the painting, instead of looking at it like it has a lot of interest to it, will look kind of stiff. So you know, by using like the chisel or the little corner of the brush, so it's not perfect, we'll have our liner brush or you know, our little bit of round to come out and fix up and do all that kind of stuff. But by using this kind of stuff, you blur the line sometimes. And sometimes I'll come back in like this and actually blur the beak like that a little bit, just like, and you can, if you want to thin it out, you can push up into it a bit like that, but blur that so it's not particularly perfect right now, which is what we want to avoid. We don't want it absolutely perfect. Let's just tap in. I like to tap in some burnt sienna, a little bit of black in here into his eye, into the area of his eye. I'm not going to make a perfect one yet, and it's not as dark as it can be, but we're going to just corner that in there. So it's a little different than I've done on some of the others. Let's take some of this black and burnt sienna and a little bit of that green, a little bit of that pine green here. Let's put a nice undertone here. She has this nice big longer flight, her flight feathers here that come down on her wing like this. So and they curve up slightly like that. So let's just drop those in. And we'll go up, put a little bit of shadow right up into this area. Now we'll take some of this color also, and let's go right towards our orangey browns in here a little bit, just to soften it a little bit. And let's push some of this as an undertone up here on the top part of her head. Right down through here. It's going to change to a green, but this will be a undertone color that you will see every once in a while. She has a lot of colors on her head here. And then we'll tap a little bit of that down and through here like this, which will be some of the other colors on her. Right down like that. Stroke or two down in through here. Like that. And let's push just a bit of it along her back here. There we go. That's making her start to come alive a little bit. Let's take some of our lighter tone. Now we're going to play these tones several times here. And we'll push that right up by that beak, right into here. And you know, I'm painting tones now. I'm not painting anything perfect. So I took out some of that beak, but I'll go put that back in. And that's what I want to do, is I want to paint some different tones and movement in here, and then we'll finalize stuff. So I know there's a nice light strike here right by your eye ring and stuff here, so I might put in a little more light and just work that through like that. And you know, there's a little bit up on the top of her eye here, and if you get it too straight, she'll look angry, and a lot of them look kind of angry when you look at that because they got a real straight line right above their forehead, but I don't want to make her angry today, so I'll be a little careful with that line. Let's come down, and let's just add a few little streaks of this lighter tone in here as well, right down into here. There we go. Now we need to get over towards our greens, and we're going to have this real blue-green, this light real blue-green. So phthalo blue and that pine green, we get this kind of a blue-green color, and we're going to have a blue-green to a green color. So let's push in some of this blue-green color right now, which will come into her back here. And we're going to stroke several tones down through here. And a little bit of that will come out here at this angles in here like this because of the feathers of her head. And you follow the contour right up into that brown a bit. So some of that right up in there. Okay, so now some of it you may want to come back, pick up just a touch more blue into that so you get more of a blue cast. And we'll hit just a few areas with that. So you pick up just a, maybe even just a little bit of bluish cast right in there. Okay, so you get all of these colors going in here. Let's go in even, I think I can get in a little bigger too. So now we're going to need some yellow green. So let's go right over here to our Hansa. And let's just grab a little bit of that pine green in here. We'll make a real bright little yellow green here. We'll model that onto the brush like this, very lightly, and tap in a few little touches of that yellow green here. A few little marks of that here. Maybe just a few little touches of that up here into her eye and her face here. Down this side. There we go. Just a few little touches, so that sets up that in there. Now we'll go with, we'll take some of this lighter gray right into some of this black, and this will help us fill in some of the base tone of this wing. A little bit more of the base tone of that wing. There. So we got to fill that in a bit. Maybe even grab a little bit of our greenish tone and just drag some of that through that wing because they do have a bit of that tone showing up on their wing here. There we go. Just like that. And maybe a bit showing up where her tail would be right back down here. She'll have just a little bit on the tail. Just a little bit of her tail showing because their wings are so big here. So we'll just lightly show a little bit of her tail there and get out of that. Just enough to show you we did it there because it's not going to be a main part of the painting here. Now, I'm going to go over to my number 4 here. And I'm probably going to use my bridge to set my hand up here because this is all really wet. So I have to be careful here. And we'll come in. I'm going to pick up first. I'm going to go work on her eye up here. And we'll push just a little bit of that soft black. Because I got a bit of moisture in my brush there. Let's take that out. And let's come right up into here. And I'm just going to do small taps of the brush like this just to round that up. It doesn't cover up all of the other parts of the eye there. Let's take a little bit of our soft light or this nice gray, which is a nice low light color, and toss a little bit of that into her eye there. And then we'll take a little bit of black and we'll tap that out. So what I do to paint the eye, this is where I get more character into the eyes now than I've done before. I might even put a little bit of that cool blue kind of color in there. Let's just grab a touch of that. That'll be pretty reflecting in her eye there. Now I'll grab just a little bit of the highlight, which is not quite pure white, but it is pretty light. and I'll just set that light right up there. I want to set that a little bit more right there. And then I'll take some black, and I'll probably have to set it one more time too, but I'll take some black and take it out, a little bit of it out, so it leaves right where I want it to be. I want a little bit more of a sparkle on it. There we go. That's a nice contrast, a little bit more opaque now, but it's a little big. So I'll just take a little black on my brush and just lift it out just a touch here. Just lift out just a bit so I have just a touch of it. And I don't want it quite so round, so I'm just going to drag through it just a touch. Now see, I spend time on that eye because that eye is really important. Now let's take some brown with this, and we will put the shadow of the eye ring underneath here. And that'll let some of that light come up here like that, but this will be the shadow of the eye ring here. And I like to do this on most birds, and I'll take some of that shadow and I'll just pull it back down that way just a touch there like that. There'll be a deeper shadow right up here in the front of the eye, painted up almost to the eye, and that'll go almost to the beak there, all right into the beak. There, let's get a little bit more black to that. That's where that beak line is going to come in, and that'll help us distinguish that beak line right there. Right there, because her face is foreshortened slightly. Let's go very carefully out here. Let's put the point here and just line that up a bit. There we go. Down like that. And maybe a little lighter gray. And you can take this has a very nice point on it, but you can flatten it out slightly so it has like a razor sharp little edge on it. And you can use that right down and create that lighter gray line on the top part of the beak there, which is really nice. And then maybe tap a little light highlight in just a couple of places there, like that. But her beak out there is just razor sharp, so just a nice little point out there. There, like that. Now you can, I'm going to rinse that brush out for just a second, put a little bit of the blue into that, and I'll just negative paint here, right up to that edge, right where I want that to go. And that gives her a nice, so I got a nice, couple of tones in there on that. I like that. Let's get some brown reds right in here. Let's pull down here. One of the things we have to do is put this nice shadowing tone down here like this that's pulling down, that's incorporating that beak into her face here. But she's foreshortened too, so we want to put the actual highlight of her right about in here, and we want some of the shadow to be coming out here like this and putting on the outside edge there of her, and that'll help turn her face here. Let's put a few strokes of that dark right there. Bring that beak right into that face. A few little touches of that dark there like that. And that sets that beak in there. Now we can come in with some of our lights. We'll take our lights right down in here to our blue greens and yellow greens. We'll just kind of model these together with some white here. And let's put some light strokes here up into this area. Here like that. I want to put a little bit more light. And we'll push, and what we'll do is we'll take some of this out. But and it'll leave the little sparkles on the ends of the feathers here. There like that. So I'll push that in, and then I'll push some of my darker blue-green, yellow-green, maybe a bit of that black and brown into that. And we'll just push in a little bit like this, and that'll take out some of that, leaving little sparklies of the ends of those feathers. We're doing what I call negative painting there. Okay, we can put in just a few little lines. Let's just model up a nice lighter color. A few little lines here. But like I say, when I do something like this, you know, I do this several times. I want to work some small little touches up and around for the small feathers that are up around her face. And then we'll take a little bit of dark and take just a bit of that out here, leaving the little lines to the edges of her feathers. There. Let's come down this other side here, pulling down with some of that light like this. And you don't have to do a lot of them. Okay, you don't have to do a lot of them. We just want to get some of that nice movement here like this. A little bigger. Here. Okay. And then we'll take some of our other blue-green. And we'll take some of that out here. And leave like little light edges here. And I'm going to take some white, maybe some white and some brown. Start shifting this over to brown, and we'll put some light colors, strokes, right in there. Just kind of, let's get this over to a little bit more gray color, brown. Love that burnt sienna. Burnt sienna and black is such a beautiful, beautiful color. Let's get a little more of that right down here. There we go. Nice dark here. We'll use that dark in through here. That puts that. She has a lot of light green into brown speckles and stuff on her. It's all really kind of speckled up here, so we can add some of these speckles down like this. That burnt sienna brown down here. Add a bit of that. Some more burnt sienna, some tiny ones. Tiny as they get up here around her face. Stuff bigger as they're down. Maybe a few right out here, just tiny. Right up underneath here. There we go. And then we'll pick up some more of our white. Maybe white with a little brown or a little of this lovely orange color in here. So it's not pure white here. Let's come back. She'll have a heavier light set right up underneath here. Some of our light feathers now. This is what gives her all kinds of character. Put a few of those light stroke feathers right up above her eye here. Right down in towards that shadow there. That got too straight there, so we'll take a little dark. Take that out. But that's what makes the bird so much fun, is when you're painting back and forth like this. That's what gives all of the lovely interest. And we'll kind of go in between some of these spots and put a few little touches of the light right down here, this light here right over some of them. Just drag a little bit and it starts to look like little feathers dragging there like that. Okay, and then we'll curve some out like this because it's starting, her head is starting to turn a bit. There, like that. Maybe a few just little tiny light touches. And I like using the flat brush more so than anything else, because it more so than just like a real fine liner, because a real fine liner you get just lines. It just looks like a whole bunch of little lines, and they don't. The hairs don't just go in little lines. They cross each other. The feathers, they cross each other and do all kinds of fun things. They don't just go in lines. So we'll come down through here and we'll start to feather up a bit. And let's, before we get too far, well, let's add a few more little lights down through here. And then we'll come back and take some of those out. I'm going to let this be a little softer than you might see on her, because we're painting a painting too. We want this to recede. I don't want to get too many perfect stuff going on back here. I just want to give it the impression of, you know, these little sparkly type things here. That's what's continuing on here, but I don't want to get too carried away because I'm getting away from her face. So I want to just say, okay, those are, you know, kind of going on there, but we don't want to spend a bunch of time with them, because we're doing this. There we go. There we go, little bits of that. A little bit of brown back again in here. Create that nice eye contrast there. Could do some negative painting, taking out some of those light colors there. And then maybe just, excuse me, take the tip of your brush here and just some small little tiny lights. Just adds a lot in there, like that. She's got a lot of interesting movement on her. Flatten out some of this white. Take that down. Here, pull that through. And you can come back and add more spots and stuff like that on her as well. I might add just a few more little spots here. And you can add them in more tan, so they get a little bit of variation into them. Like I say, it's back and forth like this. And see, the second time going through these spots, see how much more interest that adds to it. And it's back and forth like that. That's where you get the interest to her. And you know, so it's, you know, how many times you go is up to you, but it does take a few times to get that look in there. Okay. So that's got her going with a lot of movement. Let's put a little bit of brown back here again where we had that eye and that shadow there from that. She has a little bit of that contrast right up along there. And I don't want to get this too straight, but I do want to accentuate that eye ring just a bit more. And like I said, anything, if you want to get that contrast, that's going to come from that dark. So make sure you get that dark up there. Like that. That's what really gives that nice dark. Now, let's take some of that black brown here. And let's get the edge of this flight feather here. Coming through like that. So we'll give a little edge to the wing. Not too much here. I don't want to, you know, get too wild and crazy with the wing here. But you might want to do a few little lines here down and just press down and lift off, and so you get just the idea that the wings feathers are there. You can take a little bit of lighter green or brownish kind of mottled color and get just a little bit of the edging in there for the wings, but we don't want to get wild and crazy because it'll take away from her there. Now let's come back with some of our warmer brown yellow here, light color. Some yellow oxide into some of that brown color here. And let's just kind of build that yellowish warm tone here. We'll reset this orange in just a second. Just I'm going to set some of this tone in. Let that fade in that edge there like that. And then we'll get some more of that orange. Nice orange Hansa. This, a little bit of that burnt sienna. Nice Rofous colors here. Set some of that back in there. And sometimes you'll see more orange on some of them. And burnt sienna, browns, all depends on the light and the time of year and stuff that they're around. We'll just put a little bit of that around there, and then I'll let's let it go just to a little bit of yellow here. Now let's go back to our lighter tone, some white with that, and let's just make a few little feathers. Here like that. And I tell you that that we want to get these a little bit softer, so I had that for. So let's left some color in it there, some of my greens. Let's go in here and grab some light here, some wider strokes. That'll keep them softer. Let those tones just kind of soften those tones in there like that. And then we'll come in and do the final little feathers. Nice little light. We'll pull a few of these like I like to pull across the wing here. Little edge. I always like to, on the birds, those of you who painted birds with me, pull a few right across the wing that sets the wing into the body there really well. And a few little lights. This will help distinguish her neck feathers there. A few more little light touches here and there. But then we're going to let it go really soft down here. Get very soft down here, just kind of fades away. Right down in there like that. And maybe we take our 4 again here with some of our brown oranges and just set some of these tones softer back in here so it doesn't get away from us too much. So it's just a little bit of stuff there. But she is kind of fluffy. There we go. So we'll just see her edge here, just kind of soft. There, like that. Okay, so that gets most of her, and then we'll take a little bit of black and burnt sienna here and give the idea that she'll have, just in case I forget them there, a couple of her little feet there that just barely poke out here. There, I'll set that up, set that away there for a second. Let's step back and we'll look at her now into the composition with our roses. Let's go in or kind of rose blossomy flowers. Let's go paint some of those. And now that we have that orange, that would be beautiful to set some of that orange. And you just do it like this. Just walk some of that orange from her. Those colors that we used there, those oranges and burnt siennas into that. Let's just walk some of those right into some of these flowers here and through. You'll pick up a little bit of it here and there. And that'll just carry those colors, right on through there, which work great. Let's push some of that right in there like that, right up against her. There. That'll work. And also, though, we've got to get that nice contrasty green in there. and those darker greens and stuff to help contrast her. And maybe a little bit of that orange right there by her tail. Just a bit of her tail. Now, let's come in and let's build some. I want to build a flower, maybe right in here, and let this one be more of a back one. As this one goes back behind, since let it come up, her come up in front of that one. So leave that edge there. Let's pick up some light color, and let's get some of our reds out here. Our reds and some light color. And we'll come out and try to push around like this and try to find some petals. About 5 or 6 petals coming out and around here like that. Just kind of wiggle those a little bit. Get some of that light color out here, pulling in. Let it go right to a real pinky one right there. Let's get a little more red and violet. And it'll take us a little bit, it always does, takes me a little bit to kind of find the colors that I want to use on them in conjunction with her. And I always know that it's going to take me a bit to find it, and find the shape and the colors and stuff, and the flower shapes that I want to use. And I just let that happen, because I know we're going to put maybe a turned one here. So I'll do the front of the bowl here, and maybe just an idea of some outside back petals here, coming down like that. Maybe another one right down in here. It's going to be right in there. This one might be a bit big, but you know what? All the flowers next to her are big. So, and I do like to do this. I do like to take colors in and out, just like I like to paint her feathers in and out several times. I like to find the flowers several times by using my fingers in and out like that as well. And pulling in and out. Striking the petal here. Sometimes I'll pull out and lift off some of the color. And I try several ways, trying not to paint each petal the same as I'm building it. So far I like those colors. And we'll grab some extra out through here. We're gonna paint some perfect ones or some really pretty ones up in here. And then after that, all we have to do is move colors. We don't need to paint perfect little petals and stuff on these. I do like this kind of transparent edge, that edge on that one, like that. And I like that little bit of green in there as well. That's kind of pretty up like that. And I got that from hitting it multiple times, pushing in and out. There. And we might set up a couple layers of this. So we might set up some inside petals here as well, coming around. So it's more like it's not just a 5-petal open or wild rose or something. It has some other stuff going on. Just make a pretty little flower here. Let's take some of these colors right up here. Maybe there's that one up there. And sometimes you only see part of a flower. Maybe you just see part of this little flower right there. And it's just gotten pushed up like that. Maybe this one is pushed out like that. So you only see part of that little flower. Perfect. There. And all the while as you're working this, you can add in a few little stems or so in there as well as you're putting those together. But I want to keep this design fairly open as well, so we might negative paint and take some of it out. Let's just keep kind of building where we might want to have some flowers. Flowery shapes here. And so I like to turn a lot of flowers. Let's warm one up just a bit here. And so a lot of times I will turn flowers here because I feel that those turning those flowers and stuff just adds more, you know, a lot more interest to it. So I generally turn quite a few flowers. This one is a little, you know, I've got one turned here, one a little turned here, so I might want to open this one up a bit right here first, and then turn another one. So we'll cover this one up slightly here. Let's push that around a bit. We'll push slightly different one here. Let's get some more white into that, and we'll just push this shape in. So we'll have a couple here facing almost flat, one under the other. That's a bit big, so we'll take some of that down. But see, it's the color movement. See the color movement that's happening? That's what makes them really pretty. We can come out here and we can chisel an edge and make more of a definite type of petal or something like that if we want. Here. There. That's good. And now I'm using a number 8 flat too, and you can go down in size of brush as well. We'll make pretty flowers. We'll make them smaller, so it'll make it a lot easier as well. And I just do small little touches, more with the corner of the brush, down around that center. And so I paint a lot with the corner of the brush like this, and use it to like draw little petals and stuff. And I like those. Here, let's open this one up. And if it's going to set underneath one, you just back it like this, and it'll take that shadow out a bit. So we want this one to be underneath here. We're opening the petals. Maybe that one sits up on top of it. And we can get some of this green brown, which would be good colors out of her and stuff. Let's tap that right down, that greenish brown little orange, right down into the centers of these little roses. Right down, so let's put a little center into here on this one. Burnt sienna and green. And it's just beautiful colors. There. Now that's a bit big, so let's just take that right back again. See, I like how I can small it down and see what the flower is going to look like. Now I might want to have another like edge of one appearing right up here by her, or you can go right to leaves and stuff, but like a little edge of one right there might be kind of nice. Let's get a little more of my reds. There. And if I paint a couple of real, perfect ones there, I don't need a whole bunch of other stuff going on here. Push some greens in. So you can push back with some greens and open up and soften out your composition as well. So if I take some greens back in through here like this, it'll start opening up a few little leaves and stuff. And you can use those to negative paint in as well. But see how it just kind of opens up and gets rid of some of the heaviness of a red color and puts some of the other colors in there. Because they will have leaves. And we can put in a few of those leaves more specific to a shape. And I'm always watching what I'm doing. Even though I'm doing a specific leaf to a shape there, put a little brown into that. Watching how that's affecting the bird, because this is a more specific shape. So I might just take that off just a bit, soften it out a touch. so it doesn't take away from her as much. Here. There we go. Set some real soft back stuff here. Excuse me. That's good. And let's just so I'm not done with those center flowers, but see, I like to work the painting. I like to come out and around and work a few other little areas of the painting here. And I love that pine green and burnt sienna like that, and you could use that to negative paint something in here and set up some shapes. Like I can use that to grab a little bit of contrast and negative paint up around this flower a bit here. Get some movement out there like that. See, it just puts in a nice contrast there. Pine green and burnt sienna. Here. Go. And let's get some of these down here. Just work that down a bit. So you can see I'm slowly starting to shape some of the flowers. Now I'm going to give the suggestion of a stem and stuff coming through here. Right like that. Maybe another little stem and stuff coming through here. Just down. Sometimes I just set them into flowers, and then sometimes I add other things into that, stems and stuff as well. Let's just push a little bit of light, a little bit of stuff back there. Maybe just a real soft little pink flower. Maybe you pick up just the idea of a little edge of a flower back here. Here like that. There's just an idea of one. And a soft little center there. Back behind her. A few little stems and stuff coming out of that. Here. And we'll grab a few little, and this just helps you, and I just use the corner of the brush, just drag that through lightly like that to set up some movement, some stem movement like that coming through here. And just like that continues on through here. Here like that. It's nice. There we go. So that line carries on through. But we'll just dangle and a few little bits down here like this. I don't want to lose that blue, that light blue coming through the bottom of that design. I really like that. Matter of fact, we might want to get rid of some of that purpley there. Might want to reestablish that one more time here. A little bit of blue. Sometimes I like to look at it several times. Go back. Just get a little bit of red violet into that. I'll hit that several times there. And because colors, as they dry, they settle down, they sink into the background a little bit. So sometimes I like to come back and push it through. And I really like it when I do a lot of casual painting. I'm just taking it like this and blurring some of that down and through. So I'll just blur those pinks and those blues and stuff like that right together like that. I like that kind of movement. And if you don't, then just soften it out a bit. But I like that. But you can just push it there and soften it out a bit. I like that kind of look through the that part of the painting there. I'm going to push some right into there as well. There we go. Boom, I like that light. Boom, here it is, right there. Hello. Boom. There. And I know that's away from her a bit, but I'm going to take some of this and just go right up back up here by her again as well. And let's just push a little bit in and around her, just a touch. See, I don't mind painting around like that because that just gives me soft edges, which is the one thing I like to have anyway. I don't like to have anything perfectly crispy clear that's not painterly. So I like to have some of those edges moving through, and you know, maybe it touches over her beak a little bit and stuff, and that's okay. It doesn't hurt anything. And we'll push some of those others and push some of these colors back through here, like maybe they're a bit softer in there. Just create some movement back in there like that. That works. Let's take some of this and just create some softness and create some pink color here, out there like that. Let's create some pink color out there going out. Put a little green there. See, I love all that soft. And these colors just come down like this. Just soften. Let's take these light colors and just kind of bang and around like that. And push them around a bit. Let them model together, or what they, Sargent always says, they flow together. And I didn't understand that for a long time. And now that I do that, the colors are nice and thick and they move around together, but yet they don't mix. You don't want to mix them. That's why I use a lot of models. See, it's not mixed up into there, but the colors are kind of flowing around and moving together here. And that's what I'm trying to capture with that, is that movement there. Some of those colors. Let's just give a few little edges here. A few little edges will say flower. We don't need to say too many more than that here. So let's just say flower here. Nice light color. Bang. Let's push some light right out onto this one too. That'll push that right up into front here. Some nice light. See, very thick. See how much paint I'm using here? I'm just tossing in some really thick paint right now. We'll change directions here for this petal. There. Let's toss a little bit right in there. Nice thick white. Heavy light stroke. Then you can just lightly lift off just a touch of that here and there. But maybe you want to have some more edges of that to say, you know, inside petals there. Maybe some curving right in there. Say little petals on the rose. You can go to a smaller brush than this 8. That's a little difficult there with the 8, but I like painting with that big brush. Gives me these big soft strokes. Here. Here like that. It's pretty. I like that. Let's strike a little bit along there. Just pull in just a bit. Strike a bit more of that right in there. See, I just had a little hole there, so I just struck the flower again just to fill up that little hole. And then I'll just lightly lift out here. Wipe your brush and just lift out a little bit And I'll leave just a bit of that edge there. Maybe a bit more light on that edge there. So that'll be another little center of a flower right here. Be one right in there. Maybe some little edges. Grab slightly different color. Little edge here. Pull that in. Let's lift out just a touch of that. I want to keep it kind of light though. But see, I'm building it several times, so now I've got all these lovely tones in there from building it several times. Nice thick paint here. See, just thick paint. Just boom. Lay that thick paint out there like that. And see, that's really building that flower off the surface. Wipe that brush. Let's just take off a little bit here and there. Some of that movement there. Maybe a bit of our warmer orange color. Bring her right down into the painting now. Right down here. She shows up again right down here. Boom. There she is. And let's push a couple of smaller little petals. Maybe there's some, or maybe we'll come this side. Here. There. Yeah, it's not shaped too well here. Let's take some red. Let's just reshape that center in there too. Sometimes you want to put a nice little like curved petal up over the centers of these. And you just got to figure out what side that it's going to work best on. That one didn't work. I might put it down low here, curving out this way. It'd work better probably. So this one turns that way and up, and this one comes just a bit up here. So it's kind of like sometimes you got to kind of find your spot here. Then bring these petals together so that they'll work with that. All going around in a little circle, but you got to think, okay, this is like the little bowl of a rose right in here. So you just curve your brush. Bring that little curve shape in there. Let's get some of that orange tone, which I liked. Right up there with that one. Let's add a few more little light ideas. Just quick little light ideas, other little petals, other little flowers. Soften it down, gray it down a bit, a little bit of green into that. Gray it down, tone it down. Here as it's heading down that way. You've got your main flowers done here, so just head down here, down there. Put a few little toned lights around. A few little touches. Those. Back up there. Right back up here, just ideas, the little flowers. Let's build this one a little bit more light. Lift off just a bit of that shadow, and using just a corner of your brush, you can redefine that stem or a little calyx here to that flower. Maybe a little bit of yellow green in there. It's good to have that yellowy green in there too, because she has a lot of this yellowy green and blue green into her, which we might state a little bit more of that too. Let's go back to her for just a second. Sometimes I see stuff and I want to do it right then, and I do. I'll just go back and play just a bit. Get just a bit of that light. In her, like that. A few little light strokes. That's nice. She can have, you know, you can make her as busy as you want, you know, with these strokes. But like again, like I say, is, you know, I like her to be part of a painting. So I don't want to go in there with a little brush and just do all these little lines. You know, that will. I like them to be painted. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of just really beautiful stuff. But I did that for a lot of years, going in with a liner brush and doing that stuff. And it's a great look. It's a wonderful look. It's beautiful. But I like it when, and where I guess it's where I am now, is I like stuff to be like painted. You know, you see the strokes and everything, not just a bunch of little lines. But there's a lot of people that like those too, that you can do. But I like the power of the painting itself. And I'm going to increase her lightness right up through here. Then increase her lightness through her breast area here. And down. Here, maybe a bit of that orange showing up every once in a while. Let's take some of that out there. So you can put the light on and negative paint it out like that. Right? Get those browns. Brown colors in there. I do like that stroke of the color of the painting. I like that. And let's put just a bit of that light back up here. This would be her neck. She's foreshortened, so her neck may pop out here just a little bit farther than the body, right there. Get just a... Sometimes that paint gets real wet. It's hard to lay it in, so I just very lightly touch the surface with the light, and that just lays off that light. There, like that. So we can do a few little light strokes. There we go. That works that. Now let's just take the corner of that brush, that small, I'm just using a small little flat. This is actually a number 2 flat. I don't use the number 2 that much. I just had it out here, so I thought, oh, I grabbed it. You can do it with the 4 as well. Let's take a little Hansa Yellow in our yellows here. And let's add a little bit of yellow into the centers of our flowers here. Maybe that nice cool quinacridone has a cool color contrast there into that center as well. So push a little quinacridone in there, Quinacridone Violet, or you can use some red violet. And the Hansa Yellow and the yellow, or Hansa Yellow and this yellow green right from her. It's pretty. Here, just tap some of that in there. Don't see too much of that anywhere else. Maybe a bit out here. That one, that pushes that one way into the back there. Maybe just a touch of that cool color there to say you did it. Now let's go back and add. I'll use my number 4 here. Let's go back and let's just add some yellow-green leaves. Lighten them up, yellow greens, blue green, but specifically some yellow green. That'll yellow, Hansa Yellow, pine green, and let's get some of those yellowy greens in here. That'll get this composition a little bit more lively in the color. And especially want to have some of those up and around to this area here. Get some nice light. Now you have two ways to create that contrast with your light and your dark. You could also do this with dark, but see that light just kind of, little light leaves here, just kind of sets those up. And put some of those colors that you see in her as well. And it'll actually hide her into the composition a bit. If you get too much, you can just take a little bit of your dark and paint out a bit. You could set up vein lines or any of that kind of stuff, but for me, I just kind of paint it casually here. I'll push it a little shadow underneath the leaf and negative paint that a little bit, but then maybe hit the little lighter color out here on the tip of the leaf. Sometimes I'll use a little edging technique where I'll pull out and paint the leaf so that leaf has the same look as the flower. I mean, when you're painting, you should always look to have some of these same types of techniques crossing back and forth. Here, so we'll drop some of that out here. Let's drop some of that. Little touches of that here and there. Some of that green through. Beautiful little wispy colors of it here coming through. Just whisper a little bit around your painting. Here. Push a few little touches of that out here. You can do some of that blue-green. Just take some of your blue, lighten that up. That's pretty colors in there as well. A little bit of that blue in there. A little cool color touching every once in a while. Here. That's pretty. Touching that around. That's where I just like to just whisper and drag a bit, create these little, what I call sparks of color. Sometimes I do it with darks as well here. So I'll take a little bit of my burnt sienna and pine green and create a little dark spark of color here coming out of that one. A little dark right in there. See, it creates a little more contrast right there. Got to be a little careful. Watch how close you are to your center of interest and stuff coming out, and that you're not going to cover up all your little blue and everything that you like coming through there. But it does create some more contrast. There. Always the last little strokes. This kind of start to add so much life to your painting. Kind of like that. I might push that blue. Let's just see if that'll work. Push that blue back through here. Open up that a bit more. And this, you know, this is something that I started doing in the last few years of coming back in toward the end of my painting and negative painting background and stuff back through here. Let's get our blue, a little bit of that blue violet, and looking to see, you know, if I need some more of that, because it adds an airspace to it. Negative painting it back, an airspace into there. It's just nice to see sometimes. Nice thick paint in there. And then I'll set some leaves and stuff back and forth. I'm never afraid to paint back and forth like this. You know, I mean, it's just part of the painting. I can just come right back in there and set this stem back there. You know, maybe that stem's back there. And I don't worry about it that I hit the edge of my flower. I just go put that back in. And that confidence that I have with that shows in your painting. So we'll just add a few little stuff in there. But see, that gives, it just gives a little more openness to the composition here. And I think I closed that down just a bit much there, so I'll just take my blue like this and lift that right back out, right there, and just let some of that kind of work together there a bit, like that. Work those together, maybe get a bit more light into it. here. And work those together. Here we go. It's just adds lovely interest to it. A few little colors. Let's set up that green edge there on that one a bit more. There we go. Maybe set a darker green one right up here. I like when you see the different kinds of greens, maybe green and burnt sienna type colors into your leaves. These, and so here a little burnt sienna into that. You know, you get this variation of your greens and burnt sienna leaves. Those just add a lot to your painting. So final little things like this, just coming through and adding final little colors, moving colors, looking to harmonize her with the painting and stuff. Just this burnt sienna and green is really beautiful together. Here, getting some of that. Make sure you see the edge of her tail there still. There. Give it just a bit of a light edge. There. That's nice. I like that burnt sienna and green. And this flower still bothers me a little. Just, that's better. I'll round that up a bit. Let's get more of its edge out here. Maybe that's just what it needs. It needs that nice little cool bright strike there to play it a little different and gives that, but you know, playing that background like that back into it and then back out like this just makes those edges look really transparent and nice. So that's how I do them. I play the colors back and forth like that. There we go. That's pretty. I like that. Like that's a good contrasty stroke there. I like that. There's a good contrast red stroke there. Let's push one right in there like that. I like that. Sometimes those strokes, just a little bit of that contrast here. Just boom, boom. Like that. Just give a little more pow to it. And of course, that's up to you how much you want to do, but I like those every once in a while. And I think I'm going to stop on that because I like the way she came out. Okay, so there you have it. Well, you know, one second. There is a little bit of a line right up here. I just saw that in her. That is kind of dirty little line. Let's just take that right out. And see, just run your brush right there. Just run that right in. That's the nice thing about having all these model backgrounds. You can't tell wherever you cleaned up. You know, you don't worry about it. But you could come right down to the edge of that, right down to the edge of her beak there, or over her beak just a bit there too. And that'll just soften that line. Boy, that gave her a nice big long beak there. That'll just soften that line. And, you know, it's like I say with everything. I don't like to, I like these nice little blurry edges and stuff like that anyway, because that's I don't like, when I paint, I don't like definite lines, definite edges, because only right up into where I want to see it, and those definite edges. So painting back and forth and getting some color drag over those edges and stuff give you such a great look, okay, rather than being precise and perfect. Okay, there you have it. Thanks for joining me here at the studio. Look for more of our bird painting videos on JansonArtStore.com. And as always, if you have any kinds of questions, you can always email me. There's a contact page right there, but you can always email us at JansonArtStudio@AOL.com. And it takes me a while to get to some of your answers and stuff, but I'll always try to get to them, okay? Till next time, you have a great painting day. Give her a try, and try her with some different flowers, too. Try her with some white ones and stuff. That'd be pretty, too. All right? You have a good time. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.